You ever felt lost and I got you.
Hey, cook that up, Kali.
Tap in, tap in, tap in, tap in, tap in. Iron sharpen iron round here. Tap in. Iron sharpen iron round here. Tap in, tap in, tap in. Iron sharpen iron round here. Tap in. Iron sharpen iron round here. Tap in, tap in, tap in.
Iron sharpens iron, stripping up your mind. Don't fall behind past that.
All right. We're back, people. We're back. Here we go. All right. Hope everybody been doing well out there. My man. So here we go. Back down at the American Podcast Information Network. I'm looking a little bit dapper today, baby. Yeah. Got to bring that with me, man, because, I'm not up and active. Normally, I'm up and active during the podcast. I'm in the store, I'm in the kitchen, I'm in the restaurant, etc. But today, we sitting down because what we want to do today specifically is we want to extract information from a brother of ours that's in the community doing a whole lot of well. He's helping a lot of people out as far as with what he's accumulated as far as understanding in life. And that's something that we definitely want to go ahead and share right now. So I want to introduce us coming in right now. Our guest for the day is Ben Randle. Ben, how you doing, my brother?
Doing good. I want to say thank you for having me here. Peace and blessings, brother. And 24 out the door, 25, we all the way live, baby.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Absolutely. This is the beginning of the fiscal year, isn't it? We're talking money, right? Yeah. So what's to it? What is to it? Okay, it's the new year now. Let's get right into it. We're here to speak about, financial literacy overall. We are here to understand basically how to use our money twice. Okay, so this is a new year today, especially the new fiscal year for sure. Like all the bookkeeping, everything is ending. Like in this society, they do taxes at the end of this year now. Now that their tax year is over, anything past December 31st would be considered the new tax year. So how does one person what spirit do they come into this new year, new fiscal year, especially? What spirit do they come into it? Financially, what should they be thinking? What is their energy?
Well, for the average Americans, if they're W-2 employees, they're spending this first part of this year trying to recover what they lost last year. As far as withholdings and things of that sort. So they're not looking for the new money. They're trying to recover. But this is a good time for them to pivot and figure out what they're going to do with that, what they consider newfound wealth, which was really their money, they're just getting it back now.
Explain that. How it was really their money already? So you mean as far as the taxes is concerned, like getting money back at tax time?
Yeah, because employees, they pay taxes first, and businesses pay tax last.
Understood. So let me ask a question then. Again, we're gonna open the door here, y'all, to some financial literacy. Okay, my brother has a lot of information in a lot of different topics. I need answers myself. I'm not a money guru at all. But I do. There are things that I haven't accomplished in my life just because I haven't had enough understanding to be able to confidently say, "Hey, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to do it my way." Because I don't have a way if I haven't done something before. So this is why we bring in people to tutor us. We bring educators, we bring instructors, we bring people in that are going to give us the missing pieces that we need. So one of my questions is because speaking money, people, that I know of, a lot of people do have money issues, especially right now after the holidays. You know, what is your advice when you're coming into these holidays that seem to require you to spend hefty amount of monies that you're already in debt coming into the end of the year? You know, what is your advice to people who may, you know, that let's say they're in debt. Let's give a scenario. They're in debt, and then, you know, Christmas is coming, New Year's is coming. How do they handle appeasing the people that they want to please, and at the same time not getting further and deeper into a mess? How do you think, you know, what's some advice there?
Well, the first thing I would want to quote would be the late great R. Nelson Nash said, the first principle to understand is that you finance anything that you buy, anything you purchase, you finance. You either pay interest to somebody else or you give up interest you could have earned otherwise. So at the end of the day, it's about the cost of capital. And another rule might be, you know, you don't borrow to spend. So we got people out here for the holidays, they're borrowing money in order to spend it as opposed to invest it or make some other use of it.
So borrowing, are you speaking like bank loan, credit card? Like what sense of borrowing? You know, all of it applies?
All of it applies.
So using a credit card would be borrowing money. Absolutely. I know it seems simple, but some people really don't understand the concepts of it. And then maybe you'll be some young people here that never had a credit card before that need an understanding of what do I do? What is a credit card? How do I utilize a credit card? You know, sure. So credit cards, taking loans and stuff, that's not suggested, you know, in order to, you know, appease people, I would say, you know, because, you know, you don't want to make people feel bad. You're like, oh, hey, I couldn't afford a gift this year. I'm in debt. Like, who says that? You know what I mean? Somehow, everyone always comes up with the gift or comes up with what they want to do. And it's like, at what cost, you know? At what cost is that, you know?
Well, health is wealth as well. So, you know, us being present and being with each other is the most valuable gift you could have. I would say that, but you know, typically you turn 18 years old and the creditors and predators are ready to give you your first shovel to start digging in debt, which is how a capitalist country works. We work off of capital and the cost of capital. So that's why I said
so you know, so young people need to watch out. You know, when you're coming when you're getting your job, your first good paying job, and you're ready to build your credit, what do you suggest for someone who's a little bit younger? How do you kind of protect them from not being completely abused by a financial system they may not understand? You know, what's your suggestion there?
Well, we have to educate them. We have to start them off young and help them understand how money works even before they're given opportunities to, you know, to dig into their debt, debt cycle. Credit is a tool just to take on debt, you know, and to leverage something that they want to acquire. They tell us that you need this and you need a house, you need a car, you need these things in order to survive, or these are our necessities and these are the things that cost. So we basically finance those, and then we spend the rest of our working years paying for the things that we quote unquote need. And the typical average American controls wealth. We all control wealth. Wealth comes through us. It circulates through the whole economy. So, but at the age, the average American gets $2 million of wealth to control, just an average worker. And at age 65, maybe they have 3% of it saved.
How much is 3% of 2 million?
Less than 100,000. So that's not tough. The American dream. That's not the dream at all. The dream is to be debt free and not owe to owe no man anything. I mean,
Mhm.
that's
That's
your
biblical.
goal.
That's scripture.
That's right.
That's scripture.
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
And one of the things to do that, well, the first step to building wealth is to eliminate the high interest debt, the cost of capital that causes you not to be able to be debt free. And I ask people if they're debt free, and a lot of people say, yeah, we're debt free. And I say, oh, okay, so you don't have a mortgage? Well, not that. I was just talking about my credit cards are paid off and I don't have a car note, which is good, which is a good place to start. But then we start getting into where you're really losing your wealth. And that comes in the form of the interest. Taxes and interest are the biggest debt, the biggest builders of debt. And those are where we have to eliminate it. So I try and educate them. We want to teach about how to use your money and how to be able to use your money twice. So that's kind of like there's a way to do that. And if there was and I basically asked people if there was a way to eliminate all of your debt, including mortgages and student loans, which is the new mortgage. That's what they call it for the new generation.
Student loans.
Yeah. We call that the new mortgage because getting a mortgage is a lot challenging for our next generation, but they're taking on student debt, so they're in debt
Already.
Yeah. And if they could eliminate all of that in 9 years or less without spending more than they're currently spending, we ask them, would they do it? And or are they 100% sure they're going to have a great retirement, or is there doubt? And if there was a way to eliminate it, would they do it? Because the first step to eliminating the debt the first step to building wealth is eliminating the debt. Because your average financial planner, for example, they're going to tell you, give me some of your money so we can invest it, so we can grow it, we can build it. But they don't focus on the debt. So if they're getting you 20% on your dollar that they're investing for a fee, of course, they don't do that for free. And you're paying 25% over here on unsecured credit card debt, then it's almost a wash. You're not really building any, you're not really getting ahead. And another part of that is with the mortgages, it's not, people are so caught up on interest rates, amortized interest. They say, oh, I got 4%, I got 5%, I got 3%. That's just part of the shell game to keep you focused on that cost of capital, because the real part you should focus on is the repayment schedule. Now it's in every mortgage. It's on there. You could see it. How much is going to cost you for this mortgage? You're paying almost twice the amount of the loan if you keep it for 30 years.
So I don't mean to cut you off there. Do you suggest not owning a property as a way of not getting into debt?
No, I think, I specialize we're in Chicago. I have something called the Chi-Town method. We're in Chicago, so we're sitting on something I call the ghetto gold. And we have more brick 2 flats than anywhere in the world in Chicago. That's a little historical thing.
I like that.
In the early 1900s, we were the city of the century. Everyone was here. All the engineers, the architects, the builders, everybody was here. And people were immigrating from different countries coming here. And the design is beautiful because it's basically a single family design. So it's designed for single family, but multi-generational. So when they came over, you had your mother and you had your parents, then you had your wife or, the mother-in-law, and so it was multi-generational, but still one family immigrating, and they needed 2 kitchens because you can't have your mother-in-law and your wife in the same kitchen. So everybody gets their own kitchen. Everybody gets a kitchen, and then you got a basement, which now we convert into a garden unit, typically.
Yeah.
If the zoning's right. But then you're getting 3. In investing, we call that doors. So I'm switching to real estate a little bit.
That's fine.
But
That's
doors, we're getting 3 doors for 1. Where else can you do that? If you go to these other markets, all they have is single family houses, or they have big.
So you're suggesting, so basically, of my understanding, if you're in Chicago, a proven method or a more less debt building method would be to invest in some type of multi-unit brick building where that you can offset your living costs and still bring in an income from someone else's living costs. That would be the better way that you would suggest to handle someone who wants to own property. You would suggest in Chicago?
Absolutely.
Nice.
I would say buy this first, because you're gonna cash flow. You're gonna live for free and cash flow, or and then it doesn't mess up your debt to income ratio. When you want to buy, if you get 2 or 3 of these, that will pay for whatever house you want, whatever single family home you want to live in. That cash flow will pay for it. You figure you're getting about 20, if you do it right, you're getting about 30,000 in passive income per building. And then you can take that cash flow. You can take that cash flow and use that to purchase a home you want to live in. So you never buy the single family house first.
Yeah. So no, I get it. And then actually, I'm not when thinking of what you're saying to me right now in my mind, I'm thinking maybe I can do that 2 or 3 times before I get the house in general. That way, I can just be bringing in, let's say, 3 units, just to be moderate, just to be extremely moderate in Chicago, extremely moderate. Let's say $1,000 per unit, just for the math. If I can get 3 buildings, that's almost $10,000 a month cash I'll be bringing in to cover them. And then let's say if my mortgage, the brick building, and again, I've never owned a brick building, so I'm just assuming, but if my brick building mortgage is, let's say, $2,000 and $2,300, I'm keep 700 and 700. I'm paying all these off and my home on their own without pulling out from here. Would that make sense?
Sure.
That's
the little formula I use, and I'll share that with you, is ideally you want your acquisition and rehab costs to be 70% or less of the after repair value. And if you can do that, then you don't have to leave any money in that deal. You can pull your money out. You can do a cash out refi after 90 days. That's an investor product, actually, once you're on your second or third property. But
what's that? A cash out refi? Can you explain what that is for the brothers and sisters who don't know what it is?
You're doing a refinance of you're doing a refinance loan against the property as collateral. And so after it's repaired, the ARV is called after repair value. So it's going to have an appraisal of, say, in $500,000 rehab.
So
for example,
just clarifying questions, I'm going to kind of jump in and out, but I want you to keep going overall. So buying a property, you may have to fix it up, and then after you fix it up, then you can get it reappraised to see the value of it at that time, and then the value of it at that time, you can like collect cash on the increase of value that you've added to it, is what you're saying?
Absolutely. You're gonna increase the equity in the property. So if you buy it for $150 and then you put 200 in it. Let's say it's a gut rehab. That's a typical price range for a gut rehab brick two flat, which we have. We have this inventory in this market, and it's not common. So that opportunity gives us a chance to go in, buy it for 150, rehab it for 200, and then the after repair value in certain areas will say be 500,000.
Yeah, $500,000.
So you're pulling 350 out.
Yeah.
As a 70% loan to the value.
Oh, nice.
So now you have 30% equity, or in this example, 150,000 in equity, of 30% still left in the property, in the investment. You have 3 units to cash flow. And I will tell you right now, in the rental market, because the rents aren't going down, as we all know.
No, they're not.
But the rents in Chicago, even on some of the challenging areas, is closer to $2,000 a month for a 3-bedroom rehab. Let's just say $1,600 to $2,000 a month. Now, there was a time back in the day when you anywhere on the west side or south side, you rent a 3-bedroom for about $1,200, and it stayed that way for a long time. $1,200.
Yeah, I remember those days. I remember those days, boy.
Yeah, so,
I wish I had. I wish I had one of those right now.
Well, if you had one right now that you could get for $1,200, 2 things I can tell you without even looking at it. I can tell you that it's in average condition. It doesn't have. It's not been rehabbed. It's just an average unit. No central air, and no on-site or in-unit laundry. Those 2 amenities, and parking is a third if you want that. But the 2 things that change your lifestyle as far as like from a rental environment is central air. You keep them on froze in the summertime, right? Nobody sweating. And then you keep them, and then you have on-site or in-unit laundry, whether it's coin op or not, because you see a lot of people, they don't really seem excited to be loading up all of that to go to the laundromat. I've been to the laundromat, and that's a part of my life. I wouldn't look forward to doing it. And if I can avoid it, I absolutely will. And if I got central air,
I agree. And that's part of what, in my opinion, because see, I personally, I don't know if it's a trap or not. Again, that's why you're here, to help me understand how bad I got it. Every time I look for amenities in my living space, that rent start going up and up and up and up and up. And then I'm trying to offset it. So I'm saying to myself, okay, I spend, let's say, $100 a month on laundry. Laundry's there, but it costs $150 more. But the convenience, I'm going to be saving gas. So I start rationalizing, and then I'm like, well, it's worth having it at home. I don't have to leave. I can get it done right now. But then the water bill is up. Then there's other things, in my opinion, that kind of offset it. So ultimately,
well, you're coming from the landlord perspective.
Am I? I know I'm renting. Yeah, I'm renting.
Well,
it's hurting.
The water stays on the landlord side. So from the landlord
side, not if I'm renting a condo. My rent's up to $3,000 a month right now.
Oh, you said that word. That's a dirty word. I don't even.
Oh, the word condo. Yeah, it's like a gated community, so it looks real nice. You can go in, you feel secure, but it's expensive. I have laundry, they have a gym there, and they have all that, the amenities that I'm looking for to minimize my having to move around and whatnot, but it's expensive. And I pay light, I pay gas, I pay water, I pay some type of garbage fee. There's fees associated to it. I don't even know how many more fees I pay. And literally every year it's like it bumps up another $150. Like, how does this happen? And I'm like, I'm ready to go. So I a little later I made a move. I made a move out of the United States lower portion, and I got some property in Puerto Rico because I just don't like the direction of everything, and I don't feel comfortable trying to consistently deepen the building that I'm doing in this society, even the city itself. What do you think about that?
Well, usually those are with the condo scenario. You're talking about common area maintenance stuff. So they're taxing you on. You're paying for everything basically. If it was the small residential income, which is up to 4 units, you can still keep it residential. That means it's easy to finance. It's easier to afford the more units that you have than a single family. In the single family, you pay for everything and you're out of pocket, unless you're renting it, and that kind of thing. But I'm not sure, but probably check if you live in Puerto Rico.
Well, I got the property there now, so I don't. That's going to be my home now.
Yeah.
I have to still make a transition of income, because all my income is here. But I just felt like at this stage, I feel like it's better to get the process started now. I know that's where I wanna be. I know I can create something out there. I've been out there a few times in the last couple of months. So I was like, you know what? It's not hard to create out here. There's a lot of work to do. There's things I can do out here to create additional income outside of what I have going over here, So that is my transition, but that was part of it. It was like, I just didn't feel comfortable acquiring a lot of property over here in the way that it was just panning out for me personally. You know what I mean? Maybe I have made mistakes in renting condos, and they're more expensive than I would like. And once upon a time, when I had an entire family in the home with me, I was paying $1,200. Now my kids are pretty much in college. They're working. They're grown. They're completely grown.
You're an empty nester now.
Yeah, and then I walk in every day and I look at all the bedrooms and everything's like, and then those high ceilings, like, I don't need none of this stuff. Why am I wasting my money? I feel like it's a waste of money. And I do know wasting money is not a good thing, right?
That's right. That's a rental. So there's no equity, and there's no equity even on the back end. But so if you live in Puerto Rico for 6 months, though, in a day, I think there's a tax benefit. Don't quote me on that. I think that if that's your principal residence, then maybe you don't pay income tax or something.
Over there?
Yeah, you could live there because it's a commonwealth to the U.S. So
yeah, there's a lot of breaks over there. So
yeah.
One of the breaks that I learned recently going over there is the business taxes over there. They're 4%, like 30-some% over here. Like we were talking earlier, and I was like, my tax accountant has to audit the crap out of every quarter, to offset cost and offset, and make things plain, and also utilize the codes that are meant to be utilized by businesses that oftentimes are not necessarily meant to be known by businesses. So there's all the type of stuff that I didn't know. And she's like, no, this applies for you. This applies for you. This applies for you. This helps get our tax burden down. Over here, I have to go through all that, but then I have to pay for that. Her time costs money versus like 4% tax over there. It's like 4%. For real?
Yeah.
I get to keep 30% more of my money if I change my my business structures over there. I heard Jake Paul did something like that. Did you see that? Like he moved to Puerto Rico. You know who Jake Paul is?
Yeah.
So he does celebrity boxer stuff. And he has a entertainment company, like the promotion company he uses, like Most Valuable MVP or something like that. And he signed an artist, a boxer, that Puerto Rican boxer, Serrano. What is it? Serrano? Augie, do you know the name over there? Serrano. She's a boxer though. She's a very good boxer. She was fighting a girl, Katie Taylor, and yeah.
She was the undercard, right?
Yeah, under the card of that. And I thought she won both those fights. But nonetheless, he got, he signed her, so he has a relationship with a very prominent women's Puerto Rican boxer, a very decorated, one of our most ever decorated Puerto Rican boxers. So obviously he ended up in a relationship, not in a romantic relationship, but having the relationship with this boxer. He's going back and forth to Puerto Rico. They're doing promotions. ends up loving it over there, buying property over there, and changing all his business structure to Puerto Rico. And then that's how I found out. And then because I asked, like, why would he do all of that for a beach? He's like, no, it's the taxes, it's the business taxes over there that are 4% compared to here. So thinking that if I stay there for 6 months
in a day.
What do you mean?
I think you.
6 months in one day?
Yeah.
Oh, but I already have light over there in my name, gas over there in my name. I have a lease already.
Yeah, that could be your principal residence. Now, I'm not a tax expert, so I don't. Even though we talk about reducing taxes, I'm not a tax expert. And the average people right now, they're dealing with tax preparers who are preparing to help them recover money that they lost last year.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's a tax professional if you're not actively in tax code classes. Like, if you took a tax class 10 years ago, it doesn't matter if you've been doing taxes for 20 years and you're not focusing on tax code regularly and taking classes. 1 year to the next, you don't know about taxes, because they add so many different code every single time they do, like in the government, they do amendments and all of these bills that they pass in the House and in the Senate. They're adding and changing and deleting tax code all the time in these bills, and you have to stay up on that stuff. So for you to say I'm not a tax professor, I don't think I think everyone, even very, very billionaires, have to hire tax people. Imagine a billionaire has to know about money. Like, this guy is smart, and he has to hire a tax professional to handle his taxes. So,
Well, funny that you mentioned that. Once you solve for the cash flow, when we talk about cash flow, then when you're in the millions, the first real hire you get is a tax attorney. That's when is at that level. Then you're dealing with your wealth and the tax, and that's where the taxes really
they impact.
When you get into estate taxes and stuff like that,
especially in business,
40% or something.
Yeah, because especially think about in business. I mean, we're dealing with profit margins. The money we make is not the money we keep.
That's right.
It goes to employees, it goes to expenses like rent, light, gas, it goes to inventory, it goes to things, job supplies. And if you're service based, you got to have all types of equipment, probably, like barbers, how much they got to spend on blades and creams and clippers and chair rent. And even being independent in that case, you don't keep all your money. So if you walk out of there and say, I've spent $80 and this I made, let's say I made $100, but I spent $80 on making this 100. And then the government says, well, I need 40%. You're down 20. You're down. You're in the hole.
They're at least they're 1099. They're
self-employed.
It's really the W-2 employees. What they're doing is they're getting their money. The question is, where do you store your wealth? Because the cash flows through the whole economy an infinite amount of times, and most people don't have something set up to capture that. So it just flows through them like $2 million. I controlled $2 million over 30 years. But I only had 3% of it.
I know how to keep it. I didn't figure out how to keep it.
Well, the expense isn't a bad word. It's just
has to be managed.
It's just a word. And we all gonna have those. So we're all consumers, but we're not all producers at the same time. But the tax preparers, they're going back. They haven't said any strategy about how to navigate, the taxes and the interest. All they're doing is preparing for to help you get back what they already took. As if you're a barber, for example, well, you're going to generate cash, and if you know where to do it. One question I ask anybody, it doesn't matter what kind of cash flow level you're at, I would just say, where do you store your wealth? You could ask that to a billionaire and they're going to know the answer to it, right? You could ask the average person, well, where do you store your wealth? Like I'm saying, what's your retirement plan? What are you doing? And basically, we're getting caught into the system of these pre-tax accounts. You know, people are putting they basically have a silent partner in their retirement plan that's going to come in. Like you said, you put in all the money, you take all the risks, and then at the end, they're going to come back and say, 40%.
I need some of that.
Let us let you know how much you owe. Now, if we want to talk about if you're going to pay tax, I would say you pay tax on the seed, not on the harvest. If you think about it, if you're going to get your seed, right, because that's your seed, you could pay tax on that. At least you know what it is. But but once you plant it and grow it and build it, how do you know what's that going to be? It's like you're going to find out at the end that wasn't a good plan for your retirement, and you don't have enough money. You don't have enough money to retire.
So, what do you think, or do you have an outlook on what a person should be doing with their money regularly, whether it be weekly, whether it be monthly, whether it be annually? What does the normal person do?
Well, the average person when I say where do they store their wealth, they'll,
it falls out of my pocket.
They might say at the bank, for example, a charter bank, and I say, well, if you put $100,000 at the bank, guess what? They're not paying you. Maybe they're paying you 1%. Even if they were paying you 4 or 5%, like a high yield savings account, that's not tax free. And they're with the fractional lending laws, they're loaning out 10 times that deposit. They don't even have to own your money. That's how a bank makes money. So they don't lend out their own money. They lend against your deposit in order to at 5%. They're paying you 1%. So your wealth isn't growing very much, and that's not even tax free.
Yeah.
And then they're lending it out credit cards.
And you need a certain amount to even qualify for that. You got to save a certain amount of money before you're yielding interest. Like, you can't just put $10 in there and think it's going to grow. It's going to stay in there they're going to find a way to take it out. You're like, there's a fee. Here's a monthly fee for not having enough money in your bank account. They do that. It's like you have a minimum requirement. Yeah, a service fee, and then they're like, well, we'll waive the fee if you have this much money in the bank, but if you don't have this much money in the bank, we're going to charge this fee. And it's like,
because that's their deposit to loan against.
Yeah. So, but then they take your money and loan it out and bring it in with interest. They're like, they're so smart and so, I don't know. What do you think about that? Hold on.
They are smart.
What do you think about the banking industry?
I think I don't know. It's legal. It's legal. That fractional lending law is a law. I don't think it should be working that way, but
I heard Augie in the background say corrupt.
Well, this is what I teach, and I will say to you, don't do what the bank says, do what the bank does.
Oh man, that's like the Bible. It said, don't do what the preachers say, do what he said, don't do what the preachers do what the preachers say. That's crazy.
Well,
but now
in reverse.
In reverse. So don't do what the bank tell you to do what they do.
That's right.
That's pretty smart. So they bring other people's money in.
Well, this is the thing.
They collect other people's money.
I'd rather be the lender than the borrower in any scenario, right?
Yes, for sure.
So I can't lend out money that I don't have per se, like the bank can. But you could go dollar for dollar. We're talking about cost of capital. So they're lending out 10 times what they don't have to make the economy run, and that's how the economy. This economy doesn't run off of Dunkin' like donuts and nothing. This economy runs off of debt. 70% of this economy is consumerism. It's consumer debt. We might owe some other major countries money. We have debt. The country has debt, but we're the consumers. We're the consumers. That's why this is the biggest global economy in the world, because we're the ones that are consuming everything, basically.
Is that good, bad, indifferent?
Well, it's a fact. You know, I'm gonna say, I'll say, you know, as far as that goes, we're all consumers. We're all consumers.
They have to consume
but we
something.
need to produce something too.
Yes.
There's producers. Everybody's a consumer, and not everybody's a producer. So it's like, what's your contribution? What are you bringing to the table?
As far as products and services to generate income flow and generate the moving of money, you mean?
Well, when you look at the cost of capital, let's just say there's only 3 ways to grow your money tax free in the U.S.
3 ways. That's that you know.
That's that I know.
Man, let me get this, man. I need these jewels right now. What 3 ways to grow my money tax free in the United States? I need this right now.
Right.
What's the first one here?
The first one is municipal bonds.
Municipal bonds. Explain that.
Municipal bonds is you buying bonds from a municipality like a city or a state or something, and then the interest that grows off of those bonds, you get tax free. You don't have to pay taxes on that growth. The second one is a Roth IRA.
Roth? Is that like someone's name, like Rothschild or something?
Roth, ROTH.
Yeah, where does that Roth come from? I'm just curious.
It's another version of. There's an IRA which doesn't do the in IRA.
Is that an acronym for something?
It's a retirement account. It's an individual.
Oh, individual retirement account or independent retirement.
Yep.
Okay.
It's almost like a 401k or something like that. Correct?
Yeah, 401k is a specific kind of retirement.
But you don't suggest 401k in
No.
3 ways to keep your money tax free. So the first one is municipal bonds. The second one is a Roth specifically. It has to be specific. A Roth IRA, and then the third one is what is that? Okay, talk to me.
The Roth IRA, for example, is a retirement product. If you got it, it's still, most retirement accounts go to 59 and a half before it's not a penalty or they're taxing you on that money. So you got to wait. You got to tie up your potential retirement future until you're 59 and a half. Well, if you got a Roth IRA right now, you can max out how much you can put into it up to, depending on your age, 7,000 to 8,000 if you're over a certain age. And that grows tax free, but you couldn't touch it. If you got one today, you couldn't touch it for 5 years without penalty, or doing anything with it before it's.
When you're putting money into it.
Yeah.
But you can't take money out of it.
Not right away.
And that's into the Roth IRA?
Yes.
Okay, but then when you do take money out, is there like a limit to what, or even before that, what do you normally put into it regularly, and how frequently do you put into it normally?
The main component is it maxes out at 7,000. Let's just say.
What maxes out?
In other words, you can only store 7,000. You can only load up 7,000 a year into.
Okay, 7K annually.
Account.
Okay.
Right. That's the
max. That's the max.
Yeah. So
okay.
Just
that answers the question. That's what how so it can vary depending on the person and the policy, but the maximum anyone can put into this account is 7,000, and that 7,000 that you put into this account qualifies for tax-free holding somewhere.
Yeah,
somehow
so that's going to grow tax-free when you do.
And with interest associated to it.
Correct.
And can anyone just take money and put it directly into a Roth IRA?
Well,
anyone
to set it up. Yeah. Right.
So, but what I mean by is,
yes, you don't have
a working person that has. Okay, you're right. So a working person that does have a job gets paid, like with a W-2, like a normal employee. They can utilize this, right?
Sure.
And what about an independent contractor, a 1099? They can utilize this as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. What about a business owner? That has funds, can they utilize that as well?
Yes.
Are there different laws for each person, or like
it's basically just a retirement product. You can use it to store So the question is, we're talking about how do you store your wealth, right?
Well, yeah, that's the simple concept that people don't get. That I just got the aha moment when you said store, like to store it. So basically, it's an account you can put money in, so no one can touch it.
It's growing, and it's growing,
and it's growing.
tax-free.
So, what is the cost of having this account?
Well, they're set up differently, different products. So the cost, there's the interest growing, tax-free. So what's the interest, what's the return, and all that changes depending on.
But as far as putting in, let's say if I'm putting in $7,000 a year, that's roughly like let me see, maybe about 600 something dollars a month. Let's say if I wanted to max that out, is there a percentage that the company, the holding company, so it's the policy would be a Roth IRA, but there would be a holding company, right? Like the company that, or am I completely off? Because I don't know what I'm saying. I'm trying to make sense of it as you explain it.
So let's take a W-2 employee.
Uh-huh.
I work for a company, so they could set up a Roth IRA for the part of their retirement planning account. A lot of the companies will offer them a 401k, which is a retirement account to plan their retirement. That's where they take the money out from their check before they get it pre-tax. So it's a pre-tax thing, and then it goes into this account where it's invested, it's tied to the market. Typically, some of them aren't, but some of them they're tied to like mutual funds. And so what that means is if the market goes up and goes down, then it affects the value of your account. So take the financial crisis, 2008, right? That was, if you were a school teacher or somebody that was working and you had those retirement accounts, you lost like 30-40% of your account value, and you couldn't retire, or was going to be
in a Roth IRA though.
In a 401k.
Oh, in a 401k.
In a 401k, the teachers they have another account, but it's still
so you definitely, so you don't suggest a 401k because there's a risk in keeping your money in there.
Yes, there's a risk if it's tied to the market.
Yeah, I always see people go through that. Every couple of years, I see everyone and people in my personal life lose all their hair. They pull it out by the root because overnight they say they lost so much money. And it's like, what did you do? They're like, I didn't do anything wrong. Then how did you lose the money? Well, the market crashed or something. It's like, how does that just happen? I don't get it.
Well, there's other products. So we have products that protect, indexing products and some other things that protect from losing the money. Because the first rule is don't never lose money, right? So you're tied to the market. The other thing is they haven't taxed you on it yet. They're waiting. You're going to pay taxes on that in your retirement. So unless you're planning on being in like not having, you're in a scarcity mindset, you're like, well, I'm not going to be in a higher tax bracket when I retire. Then I might as well do this. And they're going to match me. They're going to put whatever I put in, they're going to put in.
Is that what they say? Is that what they do?
Yeah. But it's not, but it's still pre-tax money. In other words, if I could show you a guaranteed growth for your money, tax-free, that will beat the performance of the market anytime. And another thing that they tell you, people, investors, financial advisors, they sell the market on average. Now, what does that mean on average? It means they'll sell you, oh, the S&P 500 average 9% or 10% or whatever it is. But when you calculate the actual historical return of that investment based on that actual, because if let's say you got 100 points in your retirement account, if it goes down 50, if it goes down half, it's got to grow 100% just for you to break even. So 100 goes down to 50. So if it grows 50, that's 75. And another 50 is 100. So they don't, when they sell it to you, they don't They don't calculate the actual roller coaster. I call it the retirement roller coaster. You're riding the roller coaster in retirement. You have a silent partner that you might not be aware of, or you don't really think of it that way. But your silent partner, just imagine, I make $35,000 a year, but I spend $40,000. So I'm spending more than I make, and I'm already about $200,000 in debt.
You're in trouble.
Do you want to partner up with me for your retirement in
No.
that scenario? No. Well, that's what we're doing when we're going into those accounts, the 401ks and all of that. Why? Because who's your silent partner? They don't put up any money, but they catch you and you just put it in there and you just hope that it's gonna
works
grow.
out. Yeah, no, this is one of the reasons I have never invested in that type of structure or the stock market in general or digital currencies. Not because I don't see the value in them, but because I see the risk in them as well of uncontrollable losses. Meaning I take $20,000 and put it into a company that I think is going to do great, that normally does great. And then in the next 2-3 years, they got a couple shakeups and all of a sudden their stock, the market value is going down, each share is going down. And based on someone else's decision making and the way someone else runs a company, my money is going to be affected. I don't like the idea of that, of someone else's judgment being the reason why my income either grows or diminishes. Because at that stage, when you have so many people investing, there's so much corruption can happen. Anyone can say, okay, let's do this. And then all of a sudden you see it 3 o'clock in the morning, someone sells 50,000 shares. And then the next morning it crashes. Like, hey, someone knew this was going to happen. Someone cashed out on my involvement in this. I got all my money in here, but I don't have billions or millions. But these people sold the shares, in the middle of the night. 4 of the top executives dumped all their shares off. And then the next day, everything crashes. Like, hey, I've been gotten. This is how I would feel. So I've always said to myself, Franco, if you're going to invest your money, you have to invest your money, first of all. I do. So what I naturally know about it from just dealing with money in general, never being properly educated about money specifically, is that I should always be either earning money, like my time should be accumulating money every day, no matter what. I should be investing money, so I should be using the money that I've already accumulated to make more money. It's okay to save money, as long, I wouldn't save it long term in this environment because of depreciation and because of inflation. So just putting money away is almost like losing money. So but I would save money while I try to figure out what to do with it, hold it somewhere that it doesn't depreciate, even if it's a shoebox for a second. Because literally sometimes you'll put it in certain bank accounts. Again, you're getting caught with fees. And it's like you're actually paying to hold your money. It costs money to hold money. And that's crazy. So, so that's why I've always thought about it. Either, Franco, you got 24 hours of the day. Make sure you're making money as many hours as you could of the 24. And it's crazy because a lot of people's like, if I told someone, well, I make $10 an hour this hour. So like, that ain't nothing. I know it's not nothing, but I'm not working right now. For example, like these hours, for example, let's say I work 9 to 5, right? And I make $25 from 9 to 5 an hour. So I'm making $25 an hour from 9 to 5. But from 6 to 8 all the way the next day, I'm not making anything. So I've worked for 8 hours and I've earned money for these 8 hours, but the 16 hours after that, I'm not making anything. So my thing is, if I go home and I don't, it could be something like knitting. If I'm knitting a sock and I sell it somewhere, I can sell it online, make a little website. I can put it on maybe Etsy or something. But if I sell two of them for the evening and they're $10 each, it doesn't matter how much I made per hour. I made more money during my free time, quote unquote, because for me nothing, So like, so if I'm not scheduled to make money, and I have what I call like dead hours, free time, like, okay, what am I gonna right now? Where's the money coming into the bank account from? Nothing is hitting the bank account right now. Okay, so let me go do something to make more money come into the bank account. So that's how I look at earning. Yes, you want to maximize your earning potential, like make as much money as you can per hour. But if you're not making anything, then something is better than nothing for your time. You know what I mean? So if I can make $5 an hour from home while I'm not making $25 an hour from work, I'll still make that. I'll still be okay with that. Because at home, I'm still bringing in $5 more every single hour. You know what I mean? That's another, if it's 16 hours, it's another $80. That covers some meals. That covers some lights, some gas. It accumulates as well. You know what I mean? Those small accumulations of dollars. So for me, again, earning money, that means no matter how much per hour I'm making, as long as if there's 24 hours in a day, I'm trying to make as many, investing the money, and then not wasting the money too. Like that's the problem.
Well,
wasting.
Sure. Well, you make money during the day. You build wealth at night when you sleep.
I like that concept. Just explain. That's just sounding sexy, man.
What you do during the day makes you money, and you build wealth at night while you're sleeping, because you put the money to grow for you, or put the money to work for you. So growing it is the only way to offset the inflation and the other things you're talking about, is growing it. And so if you take out the taxes and you offset your high interest off other things, then you can grow your money. And I don't tell people what to invest in. I'm not an advisor that says, oh, invest in this, invest in this particular thing. My investor DNA is real estate, because that's what I was trained to do. I'm a title agent, real estate, passive income. But I also work on active LLCs, cash flow. You have to solve the cash flow part before you can solve. I mean, they did technically go down temporarily with the
certain administrations.
yeah, but that didn't do anything. I mean, what that did was just increase our debt overall.
Oh, we're all consumers.
The broke consumers. Like
The
who
poor.
can, what would label the lower class or the lower middle class trying to get their way out, out of something? Who benefits us more, in your opinion?
Well, let me just make a quick observation. When you look at whole life. So it's a whole life. IRS tax code is regarding to whole life contracts, insurance, life insurance contracts. So
I heard that's where smart people put their money.
yeah, well, I mean, you are your greatest asset, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, mental. We're
If it's
talking
gonna have
about
to happen, is me.
we were talking about fitness, you know, mental fitness, physical fitness, just in case, right? Well, you know, you don't hope it don't break, right? So but you need that protection. So it's going to be like you know, this is, you're going to pay that premium for the rest of your life, and in a few years maybe it'll grow a little bit of cash value, right? In 10 years you might have 50 cents in there to borrow, to get you a 30, you know, borrow 35 cents or whatever, something like that. And that's what the industry sells, protect. It's just growing. It's growing. It's compounding. Even if you don't have anything to do with it, if that was your long-term savings account, your emergency fund account, your retirement account, your college fund, you can put all of that in this type of account, and then you can touch it and invest it if you need to. So you still have control. The other retirement accounts, you don't have any control because they discourage you from touching it to invest. Say you have an opportunity that you understand as part of your investor DNA, and you want to take advantage of it. It could be whatever it is. I don't get into that part, but let's just say it's chocolate covered roaches. I don't care what it is. You got something you understand that you can generate more than what it costs you to borrow against it. So if it's growing at 3%, your money is growing guaranteed 3%. Plus these are mutually owned dividend paying companies. So you own part owner of the company. As opposed to the dividends, if you know about dividends with a stock company, that goes to the shareholders. They're chopping it up at the end. But if I say me, you, and we're all mutual and we own it, we're chopping it up, and that's tax free as well, because that's considered a return of premium that we put in. So everybody's getting based on how long they've been in.
And that's as far as with the tax code 7702A.
That's the tax code.
Whole life.
Yeah,
that's how you can utilize it.
Yeah, well, this is how we do. This is how we structure. We do a specially structured, optimally funded whole life policy in order to solve for that problem.
So does it take time to get there? Does it, is it something you can just say, hey, I got $100,000 here. I want to put it into this policy right here. Or is it something like, no, there's a different way to go about it?
So that's a great question. There's everything is custom. So it really depends on I could.
I got some information with that Roth IRA. Just to clarify something. So looking it up on the IRS, the Vanguard, and the Fidelity funds, you can put up to $7,000 a year. You're actually correct. But if you're under 50 years old, $7,000. But you're over $50,000, you could put up to $8,000. So your information that you got is correct.
Yeah, it depends on your age. Goes up.
So which now leads me to the
Tap in, tap in, tap in, tap in, tap in. I'm sharpening iron right here. Tap in. I'm sharpening iron right here. Tap in, tap in, tap in. I'm sharpening iron right here. Tap in. I'm sharpening iron right here. Tap in, tap in, tap in.
Iron sharpens iron, stripping up your mind. Don't fall behind past that finish line. Iron sharpens iron, while let your spirit decline. Knowledge from the Most High. Sharpen up your conscience, drinking from that fountain of life. On fire for Christ, you made that sacrifice. So you